These are the NBA's craziest facts you probably didn't know about yet. These jaw-dropping facts will give you a new perspective on the NBA, so buckle up and get ready as we share some of the most unbelievable NBA facts you have ever heard. Let's start it off with a bang. Remember Dennis Rodman, the NBA player known for his wild personality? Well, back in 1996, he did something pretty unusual. He married himself. Yeah, you heard that right. He had a self-wedding. While promoting his memoir, Rodman decided to arrive at the book signing in a horse-drawn carriage, escorted by a bevy of tuxedo-wearing women, while wearing a custom wedding dress made in France. At 6 feet and 7 inches, the basketball player caused quite a scene in his wedding dress. While it was just a publicity stunt, there's no denying that it was effective. His book topped the New York Times bestseller list and remained on it for 20 weeks. The whole thing caused quite a stir in the media. Some people even questioned whether self-marriage was actually a thing. We think it's a pretty cool thing to do. Since marrying himself, Rodman has continued to be a controversial figure in the media, known for his outlandish style and unpredictable behavior. But hey, whether you think self-marriage is cool or not, this guy is an all-time NBA legend. Do you know who else is a legend? This guy. You probably don't know who this is, but this is Mark. Mark is the creator of NBA Jam, one of the most popular basketball video games of all time. Mark is also one of the biggest haters of the Chicago Bulls. Back in the early 90s, the Chicago Bulls were on top of the NBA, led by the one and only Michael Jordan. But apparently not everyone was a fan of the Windy City squad. And as it turns out, Mark was a Detroit Pistons fan and couldn't stand the Bulls' dominance.
I'm a big Detroit Pistons fan. Making this game in Chicago during the height of the Michael Jordan era, there was a big rivalry, the Pistons and the Bulls. But the one way that I could get back at the Bulls once they got over the hump was to affect their skills.
So he decided to take matters in his own hands and embedded a special code in the game. That code made the Chicago Bulls miss their last-second shots. Despite the anti-Bulls sentiment in NBA Jam, the game became a massive success and is still beloved by fans today. Except for Bulls fans, I guess. For our next fact, we have a guy no one can hate on. Basketball fans know that a coach's presence on the sideline can make a huge difference in the game. But did you know that the San Antonio Spurs coach holds the record for the fastest ejection in NBA history? Coach Pop was ejected just 63 seconds into the game against the Denver Nuggets. The incident occurred during a game in November of 2012. Popovich was arguing with the referees over a call just over a minute into the game, when he was hit with 2 quick technical fouls which got him ejected from the game. The early ejection was surprising for fans and players alike. While the incident may have been embarrassing at the time, it has since become a memorable moment in NBA history and a testament to the passion and intensity of one of the league's most beloved coaches. Another guy we all love is Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq is a man of many talents, and apparently being a basketball legend just isn't enough for him. Nowadays, the Big Diesel is a regular presence in the sports media circuit, years after dominating on the NBA courts. Did you know that he's a deputy for Broward County? Yup, Shaq went through police training and is now a reserve police officer.
What? Put your hands in the air. And wave them like you just don't care. Say ho! Oh! Say ho!
So if you see a massive man in uniform coming your way, don't be scared. It's just Shaq keeping the streets safe. All in all, Shaq's many accomplishments both on and off the court prove that he's a force to be reckoned with. Shaq always brings his A game. And let's be honest, with his charismatic personality and larger-than-life presence, Shaq is always a fun guy to watch. And for fans like us, there's just one more reason to love this big guy. Let's move on from Shaq's larger-than-life personality to a player that is larger than Shaq. The NBA has seen some pretty incredible players over the years, but there are 2 players who stand out from their extreme differences in height. Muggsy Bogues, standing at just 5'3", one of the shortest players in NBA history, and Manute at 7'7", was one of the tallest players in NBA history. But the crazy part about it is that these 2 players actually played for the same team at some point. That's right. During the 1987-1988 season, both played for the Washington Bullets. While their time playing together was short-lived, the memory of the tallest and shortest player in NBA history sharing the court together is one that fans will not forget soon. But for our next fact, we have something that the Phoenix Suns fans will most likely want to forget. You might know that the Phoenix Suns is the oldest franchise in NBA history, but despite playing for almost 50 years, they have never won an NBA championship. 49 seasons and not a single ring.
Damn.
It's not like the Suns haven't come close. They've made it to the finals 3 times, most recently in 2021. But for one reason or another, they have never been able to seal the deal and bring home a championship trophy. Maybe this is the year they finally break the curse and get themselves a ring, especially with Kevin Durant joining the team. One thing is for sure, the Phoenix Suns have a storied history and will always be a part of the NBA's legacy. Another big part of NBA history is the next fact on our list. The NBA is known for its talented athletes and tough competition. But did you know that there have been 3 women drafted to play in the league? That's right. While the NBA is predominantly male, these women proved that they had what it takes to compete at the highest level. Despite the fact that none of these women ever played in the NBA, their draft selections marked a significant step forward for women's sports during that time and inspired countless young girls to pursue their dreams of playing basketball at the highest level. Speaking of high-performing athletes, the Denver Nuggets took the NBA to a different height. The Denver Nuggets play at a home stadium that sits at an elevation of exactly 1 mile above sea level, giving them an advantage over visiting teams. But before we jump to any conclusions, let's take a closer look at the science behind this unique home court advantage. Studies have shown that high altitude can have a positive effect on athletic performance, increasing red blood cell count and improving oxygen delivery to the muscles. For the Nuggets, this means that they are able to maintain their energy and performance levels throughout the game. But does this mean that Denver is cheating? Absolutely not. The high altitude is simply a natural advantage that comes with playing at home, and it is up to visiting teams to adapt and prepare themselves accordingly. For our next fact, we go all the way back to 1891. Basketball has come a long way since it was invented in 1891. Back in the early days of basketball, jump balls took place at the center court at the beginning of the game, the second half, and believe it or not, after each made basket. This meant that players had to constantly jump for possession of the ball, making the game more physically demanding. Can you imagine how boring a basketball game must have been if they never had changed this rule? Speaking of NBA rules, we have one rule that made headlines back in 1985. If you are a fan of basketball or sneakers, you're probably familiar with the iconic Jordan line. These shoes have become a symbol of greatness, representing the legacy of Michael Jordan and the impact he had on the game of basketball. But did you know there was a time when Air Jordans were actually banned from the NBA? It all started in 1985, when Jordan signed a deal with Nike to create his own signature sneaker, the Air Jordan 1. But there was just one problem. It didn't comply with the NBA's uniform policy at the time. Despite the league's rules, Jordan continued to wear the Air Jordan on the court, racking up a $5,000 fine for every game he played in the shoes. But he didn't let the fine stop him from wearing his iconic shoes. After all, who needs to follow the rules when people call you the GOAT, right? Nike didn't seem to mind the fines either, as they paid them on Jordan's behalf. The fines were nothing compared to what Nike was earning from them. Eventually, Nike and Jordan were able to work out a deal with the NBA, and the Air Jordan line was allowed on the court. These were the top 10 crazy NBA facts. Thanks for tuning in, and if you are a basketball fan and want to learn more, make sure to subscribe to our channel for future content. We will be bringing you all the latest and greatest NBA news, analysis, and of course, more mind-blowing facts. Don't miss out and dunk that subscribe button now and stay tuned for more. Until the next one, peace.
Everything basketball.